I find it weird that our main character has no reaction to the blood all over the subway. And I know what you're thinking, like, maybe he can't see the blood, maybe this is something that we're seeing and that he can't see, and like this is our perspective, like, oh, he's walking around this world but he can't see those things. But then he comments on the coffins that are there. So I don't know, maybe like have the character freaked out a little bit by all this blood. I mean, he can see the coffins. I'd be like, what the hell is all this blood on the ground? Or call it paint or something. Like, have him comment something about all that blood everywhere. I don't know, just something I would have done.
Just put it to my head. And then pull the trigger. Come on. There's no way I can't!
Your attention, please. Today's train schedule will be modified due to a rail switching malfunction. We apologize for any inconvenience. The next stop is Iwatodai.
Iwatoda. This is the final train bound for Tatsumi Port Island. Please board before the scheduled departure time.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm one of your host, Shinry. Here with Everything Anime Podcast, I bring from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and whatever relevant topics I talk about. Today's video is on Persona 3 Reloaded, my first initial thoughts of the game. I've only played an hour and a half of the game, so I don't know anything past that, but I do like when I play video games to give my thoughts about the game, and then, like, you know, my relationship with the game, series, or anything like that. So, for those of you who don't know, I just started with Persona 5. That was the first game I ever played from the Persona series. I'm not new to the RPG series. You guys know I played Paper Mario, turn-based games, things like that. There's some other RPG element games I've played before, but Paper Mario is kind of like my go-to, my number one game of all time for RPG. But yes, I played Persona 5 before. And the thing was, when I played Persona 5, it was when Persona 5 was $20, so the game had already been out for a long time. And I just picked it up because I was like, I've heard people talk about this. My friend Silver was talking about it. I was like, let me try this game out that people are always hyping up. So I played it and tried it. I beat Persona 5, originally the first one, twice. Because the thing about Persona 5, and I'm going to mention it when we talk about Persona 3, but the thing about the Persona series, from what I can tell so far, is that you want to max out your social stats. Your social stats help you do things in the world, in the game, to help you, like, your character form relationships and, like, do certain events. Like, the whole thing about the social links is that, like, your character, you want to build as many friendships and bonds as you can, so you can unlock personas, get your personas to, like, the highest max level they can. I don't know how many different archetypes there are for personas. I know, like, there's the Fool, there's the Moon, there's the Sun, there's the Doctor, there's all kinds of, like, archetypes. And each one has like their own strengths and weaknesses. Again, I'm going to get to that in my notes. But just remember when I based off Persona 5. And this one does have less stats, but just again talking about my relationship with the game. And so I wasn't able to max out all my relationships the first time I played Persona 5. But one thing I like about New Game Plus in Persona 5 is that like you can keep your stats you already have and then focus on the second half building those other stats back up. So I beat Persona 5 twice just to max out all my stats. And I still hate that your main character couldn't bae Ryuji. You can bae any girl you wanted in Persona 5, including the adults, which is weird because you're a high school teenager. But you can't bae Ryuji, the best character in the game. Like, Ryuji was bae. I don't care what to say. Ryuji was bae.
For real?
Anyway, so then Persona 5 Royale came out. And I had told myself, I said, I'm going to get this because I don't know what the added story I wanted to know more about the added story they put in there. And I wanted to see who this new character was and see what would be different about Royale. Royale is the best experience. If you've never played Persona 5, just play Persona 5 Royale. Do not play the original. I mean, yes, you can play the original, but Royale is already the original with like basically DLC and a better expanded story and more time to max out your social stats, which is something I'm going to mention here as well. Because the thing I didn't know about Persona 5 is the first couple of days they try to make you go to sleep early, like it's an RPG, so you can only do like so many things, but like once you're inside of the house, you can't leave. They try to basically tell you that go to sleep, but there's things you can do to like read to get smarter, clean to like, I don't know. It was like your charm, I think. I forgot all the stats in Persona 5, the original one. I know there were stats in this one, but I forgot the one in that. But basically, like, use every little second you have to focus on your social stats at all time. Focus on your social stats at all time. And if one social stat is really high, focus on other social stats. Don't just stick to one. You're going to need all of them. And so, yeah, Persona 5, the original, first playthrough, you're not going to max them out. I can guarantee you're not going to max out all your social stats. Playing New Game Plus, you can. Or, I mean, some people told me, like, if you put a certain arcana in your... Some social stats require you talking to a certain character and building a bond with them. Like, usually they're your friends. They said if you have the same archetype persona in your first party, like as your main, then, like, that character will build bonds with you faster. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that works. Because I always kept, like, my favorite persona as my main. But apparently that works. So definitely try that if you want to try it. Only one playthrough. But again, Persona 5 Royale, it gives you more time. It allows you to do more stuff and max out those stats in one playthrough. And so I was actually going to review Persona 5 with my friend Silver, but that would require me playing Persona 5 for the 4th time. Even if it's Royale being the 2nd time, it would still be the 4th time playing Persona 5 specifically. And as much as I love those songs and catchy music, it would drive me nuts to do that shit all over again. But it was a great game. So again, if you haven't played Persona 5 Royale, definitely play that. So, and also my other relationship with this series is I watched Persona 4 the anime with my friend Silver. I like Persona 4 the anime. I like the gay guy who's not gay, but he is gay. That guy, I liked him. And the main character, was pretty funny too. And unique. Now, the difference in personas are like how they use them. I should probably talk about what a persona is in a second. I'll get to that. But let's talk about it now. So a persona is like your true self, like your truest self, like the person that you like. We all wear masks, basically. That's how they call it. Like, we're masked in public, so we're afraid to show our true selves. But like removing your mask, removing whatever like is holding you back and stopping you from being your true self unleashes your persona. It's, again, like your true self, your true essence. And it usually forms in the form of like a beast, a monster, or something like that. Well, not monster, they're called shadows. But it personifies itself into like whatever shape or form that fits your personality. And so in Persona 4, they would use cards, like their personas were captured in cards. And in Persona 5, there were literal masks that you ripped off your face. And, they would appear behind you. Ryuji had the coolest one. He had a fucking pirate that was skateboarding on a goddamn ship. It was so fucking cool. And then eventually turns into like a thunder god riding on a cloud, which is even better. Because, in Persona 5, I don't know if Persona 3 does it, but Persona 5, your personas can evolve after you reach a max stat. They reach like a second awakening, basically. solo leveling reference if you're caught up in solo leveling. That they reach a second awakening, so you definitely want to max out your stats, especially like I said in Persona 5 Royale. You definitely can do that. Get them to that second stage. Now, in Persona 3, they use evokers, which look like a gun. They have to aim it at their head and shoot and fire. So I'm hoping like any kid that played Persona 3 at the time did not actually like think they had similar Persona by putting a gun to their head. Because the mask is more friendly, the cards are more friendly. I don't know how Persona 2 and 1 did, but like I was just like that opening scene when she holding a gun to her head and she's like, I can't do it. I was like, what is this? But then, as the game goes on, through this first hour playthrough, you realize that's how they use their personas. They shoot themselves with a gun, awaken their personas. And the other difference is, in Persona 5, it's the only one I've seen so far that does it. Again, I've just seen Persona 4, the anime, Persona 5, the video game, and then Persona 3 I'm playing now. In Persona 5, when you go into what's called the metaverse, and this one is called Tartarus, when you go into the metaverse, you change into like a costume. Like the main character in that game was Joker, and like he transforms into like this like not a clown, but like a one of those people that you see like wearing. Going to like a ball gala, like a night gala with like a dark mask, and then more usually like a thug and like Panther, or not her name was a Panther, that was her code name. They also have code names in Persona 5. But Panther looked like like a dominatrix, and just stuff like they had costume changes. And this one they don't. And I think Persona 4 didn't have costume changes either. They just went like in their regular clothes. So I think like each Persona game, they also have a little difference, like not just changing how they use their personas, but like changing their costumes or what happens when they go into the metaverse. Again, this one is called Tartarus. Now, so when the game opens up, we meet a mysterious boy who tells us to sign our name in a contract, and all he says is that, all this contract says is like you take full responsibility for your actions. Kind of weird, kind of ominous, but like we agree to sign it anyway. This is where you put your insert name. I'm not gonna show mine. But after we sign our name, the boy disappears and the girl shows up with a gun. This is an evoker, but again, it looks like a gun. And she seems to like she's about to shoot us when suddenly somebody else shows up and the lights come on. Because I forgot to mention when the game was up, he talked about how the city's lost all power, everything's dark. Because like I said, there's blood everywhere, there's coffins, and there's like this green atmosphere. And our main character's like, I just gotta get back to my dorm. I'm like, do you not see the blood everywhere? Do you not see, like, the city looks kind of weird? He's just like, I just gotta get to my dorm. Normal day. Coffins everywhere. Pretty weird, but, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go to my dorm. So, yeah, when this other woman shows up, the lights immediately come on, and the atmosphere, all the ominous changes away. We learned that the second girl's name is Mitsuri, and we find out from her that like we're in a shared dorm with like boys and girls. Like normally like there's a girls dorm and there's a boy dorm, which is why I couldn't tell like if this was a guy or girl from the cover. Like I was like, it looks like a guy, but it could also be a tomboy. Or I was like, it could be like, like a feminine girl that looks like a boy, whatever. Yeah, no, that's a tomboy. Tomboys are girls that look like boys. I was like, he could have been like flamboyant or feminine, like a boy that's like a girl. I didn't know, but yeah, we found out halfway through the game he is a boy. I'm not halfway through the game. We found out halfway through the beginning he is a boy. And the first girl's name with the gun is called Yukari. And when they take us to our dorm, they ask if we can. Oh, when they take us to the dorm, we ask like, "Hey, did you see that kid that was just there that made us sign a contract?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And again, we learn like we're the only ones that can. We learn like we are the only ones that can see that boy, which is usually what happens in Persona 5. Like when you go into the Velvet Room, which is like where you meet like I forget his name. I think it's in my notes, but we meet him and Elizabeth. And like the others in Persona 5, they're like, "Why are you just standing there?" But we went through a door to the Velvet Room, but like they're just like, "What are you doing standing there? You just looked you looked like you were staying off into space." So I see that that's back. Like we're the only ones that can see the Velvet Room, which and in that case a little boy, which I think is gonna be our main character, like a version of him. And basically we also learned that like the both of the girls can see the ominous like coffins and atmosphere. But they don't reveal it to you yet. It's just like it's subtly said, but you can, if you're paying attention to context clues, you'll learn later that they actually do know about it because they're a part of a group. But like in the beginning, it's just like, oh yeah, yeah. Did you see that? No. Or she's like, did you see anything weird? And she's like, no, never mind. And I know she was talking about coffins. One thing I do know about Persona from playing 5 is that you don't want to waste a second of every day. I've already mentioned this. Every little minute counts because you want to max out your social stats. And also, I love that your responses that you can give to people can come off as nice or you can come off as an asshole. It really is up to you, like how you respond to them. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know if there's going to be like consequences to being an asshole, but like maybe you just don't get like that social stat. So always be nice. Always try to bond with the characters because you want to build these social stats as fast as possible. And we get our usual introduction to a lot of characters, including a guy named Junpei, who is, I'm going to declare right now, my new Ryuji. He's the new Bae. He gives me Ryuji vibes the way he talks. I mean, there's still a difference because like Ryuji always used to say, what did Silver say at the con? For real? Ryuji, that was his like catchphrase saying for real all the time.
Wait, you don't know Kamoshida? Are you for real? For real? For real? For real? That means what happened yesterday was for real too. For real? It's for real. For real? For real. For real? 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 For real though? For real? For real or not? For real? For real? For real? For real? For real? For reals? For real? 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 For real this time. For real? For real? For real? For real? For real? For real? For real?
Whereas like Junpei is like just like this like well, not a womanizer, but like he's obviously obsessed with girls and like he's always excited, and he definitely has a different personality than Ryuji. We're gonna find that out later. Now, the social stats in the game, we're gonna talk about it real fast. The 3 are academics, charm, and courage. So you get academics from like learning things, paying attention in class. You get courage from like falling asleep in class or like singing karaoke. That's what I've done so far, like singing karaoke by yourself. It gives you courage. Charm is like being nice to girls or like freshening yourself up or working at the grocery store, because yeah, you can work at a job in Persona 5 and as well as this game. It's not like you have to go to work or you don't like do things from work. You just like go in and just build your stats up. We also meet several characters. I'm probably gonna talk about all the characters now. One, his name is Shuji. He's the leader of this group called the Seas, or what's it called? Where do I have my notes for the name of that? It's like a specialized exorcism. What? Hold on, let me check my notes for that part. Oh yeah, it's called the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, the Seas. And Shuji is the leader of them. And Yurikari and Matsuri are with them as well, and they're investigating what is known as the Dark Hour. Dark Hour are when normal humans are asleep at midnight, but like normal humans are asleep at midnight, but they're turned into coffin or they're turned into monsters. If you're like a human that's aware during the dark hour, you turn to a monster or you get attacked by monsters. And then if you're like a regular human that has no persona or can't see the shadows or monsters, you just sleep in a coffin and you're safe. You can walk out of a coffin, which is probably what happened to this main character in the beginning. Is like you're able to walk out of a coffin. If you're sleeping in a coffin, you are able to walk out, but if you stay in your coffin, you're safe. Now, why you would walk out of your coffin, I don't know, but it's just because maybe you just woke up by accident. The dark hour is also classified as a time between like the next day, like tomorrow and the next day, or today and tomorrow. It's a space between time. So like they're saying like there's more than 24 hours in a day. It's Persona, just go with it. Like there's between the 24 hours in a day, there's this space at midnight called the dark hour where time goes on for unprecedented amount of time. And Persona users, as well as awakened humans that just leave their coffin by accident, and shadows are roaming around at this time. And if you're a regular human and you have no persona or you can't fight these shadows, you're just gonna die or be killed and turn to a shadow. So all of our characters have potential to be persona users. Matsuri, Yukari, our main character, And Junpei, which we'll learn pretty fast, which is a surprise to me. Like Junpei is also a Persona user, and he's even more excited than Reiji. Like normally in Persona 5, the way we met our characters was like forming bonds with them, and then they awaken to their personas through us, like talking to them and forming bonds with them. But in this one, everybody's already aware of being a Persona user except us, but we just kind of like accept it. But that's why I thought Junpei was interesting because like he, unlike Reiji, who like walked into it because of us. Junpei's like, oh yeah, I'm here for this. I'm excited. Let's do this. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't expect that. But again, I guess every game does have to be different. Now, Shunji is the only one that can't use a persona. He tells us that, but he is aware of like what shadows are and what personas are and things like that. So, yeah, that was interesting. We're then reintroduced to Igor. That's his name. Igor and Miss Elizabeth. They live in the Velvet Room. It's a place where like only those who signed a contract can enter. So that contract we signed at the beginning of the game with the little boy, this is that. This is the Velvet Room. He wants to help us hone our powers, and in return, all we have to do is continue to take full responsibility for our actions. Still ominous. I mean, if you play Persona 5, you play the Persona games, you probably already know what he's talking about. I play Persona 5, so I have a vibe of what he's saying. But this is also where you can fuse your personas. You can and to get stronger ones. I think you can like register personas, go to the ones you've collected and like change them out into your party and whatnot. I forgot what else you can do in the Velvet Room because I haven't got that far in Persona 3. Again, this is just the opening thoughts and opening gameplay. But I am curious about what else you can do in the Velvet Room in this game. Oh, one annoying note in the beginning of the game is there isn't much time to increase your stats as well as other characters because I tell you to go to bed early. But again, by like night 5, I think you can like go out at night. It's gonna tell you like choose wisely about what you choose to spend your time on, like going to work to increase your charm and knowledge, or going to karaoke to increase your courage to sing by yourself, or going to hang out with your friends. Like you might only be able to do like 1 or 2 things a day to max out to increase a stat. So that's what I'm saying. Use as much time as possible. Don't immediately go to sleep because your characters tell you like, hey, you should probably go to bed. Don't do that because you'll waste your days. The game is not always going to tell you like when to use a stat or what stat to focus on. It's up to you as a player to figure out when and where. So make sure you do that because again, Persona 5, the first playthrough, I did not know how to max out my stats, but I do now after playing it a second time with New Game Plus, and then once again through Persona 5 Royale for the third time. So the part where the game really takes off is once we use our persona for the first time. So everything comes to a head when a certain shadow attacks the dorm that we're all living in, and it's a shadow with like a lot of hands. And one of the girls, I think it's Yukari, she pulls out a gun, which is we learn later is an evoker. And she's about to shoot herself in the head, but she hesitates. She's like too afraid. And the monster knocks the gun out of her hands. And that's when we pick it up, seemingly already know what to do. And we hold it to our head and we say the words persona. And that's when we get this really dope ass scene that I'm going to play right here.
No way! That's it! One of the monsters that attacked us! It's a shadow!
It's here.
Wait.
Go on.
So. I am thou art I. From the sea of thy soul I come. I am Orpheus, master of strings.
Just as we thought.
So our persona this time's name is Orpheus, the Master of Strings, and damn does he look cool. And he seems to have like two different forms. Like one is this like angelic white form, and then the other is like this dark shadow form. I don't know if that's gonna like play into like some kind of dark hero scenario, because again in Persona 5 you start out with the Fool. I forgot what the name of that persona is, and it does have two forms as well, but it's only after it evolves. And I think in that Persona 5, it was a dark persona, so like used like shadow kind of moves. This persona is a fire type persona. There are elements to this, like I know there's like fire, water, ice, wind, or fire, ice, wind, lightning. It might be called thunder. Sleep, confusion. There's all kinds of abilities that can help you, but they're all kind of element based, and it's kind of like rock paper scissors. Like obviously ice beats fire, but ice is weak to, ice is weak to fire, but ice beats like wind type shadows. Or then sometimes there's also the gimmick to battle is like a certain type might be stronger or weaker. So like I said, rock, paper, scissors, but like also like a Zord attack might be stronger than all your element attacks. So your element attacks might do nothing at one point. And you just rely on guns. Or, yeah, because you can use a gun. You can use melee weapons like guns or Zords. Zords are for, like, physical attacking. And sometimes it works, sometimes it's blocked. Sometimes guns work. Guns can be used. Or element attacks. Or you can use items. Either way, when it comes down to it, there's 4 kind of ways that could happen. 1, the attack can be successful. And it can, like, down an enemy. If an enemy's downed, that means they skip their turn. You can attack additional times. There's it won't do anything, yeah, and like it's like they're not weak to it, so like it's just blocked or it's like negated. 3, it can heal them, and like so if you use a fire type move on a fire type shadow, they just get their health back up. Or it's the 4th thing it does is it sends attack back at you. Like it's like you use something that can be reflected at them. Like say like you fired a bullet, but they have like a shield type. That bullet fires back on you and you take damage. Now, one cool thing is, whenever you do fight an enemy type that's like your advantage or disadvantage, you can always pull up the info log on them. Like, I think it's called their stats at any time and see what you've used against them, what works, what doesn't work. That is like your go-to. So always try every single, even if ice works on a wind type monster, try using a Zord attack. See if other things work, because you only have so much mana power. It's not called mana, I forgot what it's called, but you only have so much SP that once that SP runs out, you can't use your persona's abilities. So then you have to rely on items to get that back up, or you have to go heal yourself or go rest, and then your SP goes back up. Other than that, you're going to be stuck with like relying on your melee weapons or your bullets. And if you fight a shadow that isn't weak to melee or bullets, you're fucked and you got to run away. Now, the other thing about combat is if all the enemies are down, all your shadows are down. Like say you're fighting like 4 ice types enemies and you use fire on each one. You don't kill them, but you down all of them. You can then go into what's called an all-out attack, which is basically like all your characters attack at once, and it's usually like a cool scene where like one of the characters saying like a quippy line at the end of it. I always love that, but yeah, that's typically how the combat system works. It's turn-based. Your enemies get a chance to attack. You and your partners get a chance to attack. You can, in Persona 5, you can control what your partners use to attack, or you can set them off to like attack how you think how they feel is best in that moment, or you can have somebody like specifically for healing, somebody specifically for defense. You can set them up like that, but I usually like to control what all my characters do, kind of like Final Fantasy, or Paper Mario. Like you can choose what your partners do for an attack. But yeah, in this one, you can set, or even Persona 5, you can set them up to like do whatever they feel like is best in battle. Let's see. Yeah, I already talked about that. The enemies in this game are called shadows, as well as in Persona 5. They're shadows. They're like the darkness, I guess, from like the metaverse, or in this game is called Tartarus. So yeah, let's see.
That was magnificent teamwork. As you grasp the flow of battle.
After our battle, we lose consciousness just because it's our first time activating our persona, and we can also tell that Yukari is a persona user as well, and she seems to be afraid of using her own power. So that's why she hesitated with the gun, like shooting herself. So she lost her dad when she was young, and she has an estranged relationship with her mother currently. She's looking into the death of her father because he was killed in a strange explosion at a lab. And we also learned that though she is aware of her persona powers, that was her first time ever fighting a shadow for the first time. So it's not that she didn't want to shoot herself with a gun or the evoker. She just kind of panicked, like she had never fought a shadow before. The other users, Akio, that's why I forgot. Akio, Mitsuri, Shuji. Shuji can't fight shadows because he's not in the persona, but Akio and Mitsuri, they're well aware of that, and they fight shadows. And Junpei eventually joins our team, and he can fight shadows as well. Now, yeah, I've already talked about that.
Take advantage of what you just learned. Try not to.
Now, so in this game, the shadows are attacking humans, and they're attacking them in their mind, and like making them have like what's called apathy syndrome. It's basically like whenever they attack a human and they attack their mind, the shadows attack a human and attack their mind, they're basically turn them into walking corpses. Like you're like a zombie, but like you're still a human, but you're a zombie, and like they kind of just commit suicide. Like you lose your will to live. And I know in Persona 5, the shadows were after people's hearts, because we would go into people's minds and bodies, and we'd like basically fight their evil in their hearts and like purify them. So in this one, I guess they're attacking your mind. I don't know how Persona 4 was. I don't remember what they were doing in Persona 4. I know, like, in Persona 4, I think people were getting trapped in a TV or something like that. I have to look back into that one, like, the anime again. If Silver was on here, he could definitely comment better explaining that to you guys. But that's what I remember Persona 4, like, something about going into a TV. And, yeah, so the shadows are after people's minds and giving them apathy syndrome, which basically makes them feel like walking zombies, walking corpses, like they've lost their minds and they've lost their will to live. And things like that. Let's see. Oh yeah, so in Persona 5, there was these things called palaces that you would go into. It was like a mind place inside of the metaverse where like it'd be like a powerful shadow that was an evil person in real life. Like I know at one point the gym teacher was like basically molesting like the high school girls. There was a gang member that was like controlling the city and keeping people in poverty. There was an art person that stole people's art, and he killed like one of the main character's mothers, and he claimed it as his own. There was like 5 of them in Persona 5, but basically like they had palaces because it was like their own their own worked world inside of the metaverse, inside of Persona 5. Whereas in this one, it talks about like the Tartarus being like a tower, and we have to climb this tower and get to the top eventually. So I don't know if like there's gonna be other towers and like this is a specific one, or like how this works. But like I know Persona 5, again, it was probably different because every Persona feels different. I'm sure every Final Fantasy is different. So from what I know right now, we're in a single tower, and Tartarus is in this tower, and we climb it, and we have to get to the top to figure out like what's making these shadows and why they're here. Now, the metaverse at like Tartarus is a labyrinth. Like you can always access it anytime at night or in the afternoon, and you can go there to level up, fight other shadows, collect other personas that you can use. Because your main character can collect. Your main character starts with like one persona, his original, but you can gather as many shadows as you want by defeating them in combat. Or no, in this one, I think they turn into cards, and you choose if you want to get a new one. Whereas like Persona 5, you had to capture them by talking to them. So again, very different. You can also access the Velvet Room from Tartarus at any time to go back and talk to Igor and Elizabeth and like, you know, like I said, fuse your personas, things like that. But I haven't got that far in the game. This is still just the early part of the game. But if it's like anything like Persona 5, it's probably going to be similar. On the main menu, you can access the skill link, social link, calendar, stats, personas that you've captured, equipment, like change them out, and items. It's all accessible from the pause menu. So, you know, I haven't checked out all of that and what it can do, but I'm pretty sure it's still like Persona 5. In combat, we have our persona to attack with. You can guard to block the next move from your opponent. Use an item or use a melee weapon. Again, like I said, like that's typical combat. Fighting a lot helps you gain experience and level up. But remember to try out like different personas against different enemies, because again, the rock paper scissors system, it's like choosing a Pokemon. Like if somebody has a rock type Pokemon, you don't want to use the fire type, you want to switch to a grass type or a water type. So it's like that. And you'll learn their strength and weaknesses by trying out all the different like things against them. Because like I said, you always do access those stats after you defeated an enemy in combat or used an ability against them. Let's see if I have anything else on my notes. When you're exploring the metaverse or Tartarus, you can find like various treasure chests and things like that, stuff to trade, because money doesn't come easy. You have to go to work, you have to sell things in Persona 5, and things are not cheap in this game. They will come cheaper later, but you have to like build a repertoire with people, build your social stats, things like that. So again, focus on that, and sell and explore Tartarus as much as you can, because it's a labyrinth that's always changing and it'll never be the same. So you want to go everywhere you possible. And my final note is that some treasure chests in Tartarus are locked behind a specific kind of treasure chest that requires Twilight fragments. They mentioned how to find these throughout the game, but I kind of forgot. But you need like some treasure chests require more than one fragment piece or Twilight piece to open. So explore everything and find everything you can and to get those Twilight pieces. Now, overall, my thoughts on the game is so far it's really good. I'm loving the music. I loved all the songs of Persona 5. I have like Rivers in the Desert. What's that song? Never Say It Coming. The Winds of Fate, and the other one, Last Surprise, and one other one. There's like 4 Persona 5 songs I have. So I'm curious if I'm gonna love these Persona 3 songs. Again, I'm not trying to talk too much about Persona 5. I'm only making a comparison because I started with Persona 5 first, and this is my first time playing Persona 3, but again, these are my opening thoughts. So I don't really need to get too detailed in it. I just kind of want to give you guys like an idea where I'm at in my relationship with the game. But yeah, I'm loving Persona 3. I'm hoping to finish it in like 2 weeks or so, because we've got South Park, the Snow Day, we got South Park Snow Day coming out. We got Rise of the Ronin coming out, which I haven't talked about Ghost of Tsushima yet, but I put 120 hours of Ghost of Tsushima. I did everything I could. I did the DLC. I unlocked a map. I unlocked everything on the map. I love Ghost of Tsushima. I cannot wait for Ghost of Tsushima 2, so that review's coming. I still got to review BioShock. We got Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake coming out on Switch. We've got Alone in the Dark coming out, which I have no idea what that's about, but it looks really good. And I love horror kind of games I can play at night, so I'm excited to play that. So yeah, I got a lot of games coming out, so I want to knock this out in like 2 weeks. On top of that, I'm reading manga and anime, and also I have my books to be writing, because book 5 is supposed to be out. Book 5 is supposed to be out this spring, but I'm running into a bunch of like setbacks, sorta. And it's more personal, so I haven't been writing lately. But I want to get back into it, especially like with all these stories inspired me and things like that. So yeah, we're going to end the video here. This is just my first thoughts, opening review of it. I definitely recommend Persona 3. There are people that know this series way better than me that can probably explain it to you. But these are an outsider's perspective that loves the Persona 5 series, and I can't wait to see what the rest of Persona 3 has. So when I'm finally done, I'll probably give some closing thoughts about the game. But for now, if you like JRPG games, you'll definitely love Persona 3 Reloaded. I recommend checking it out. And if you've never played Persona at all, play Persona 5 Royale. Trust me, or play Persona 5. It's probably less than $20 now, because it was $20 when I bought it like 2 or 3 years ago. And Royale just came out like a year, maybe 2 years ago. So maybe Persona 5 is an order than that, so it's definitely going to be cheap. Anyways, guys, see you guys in the next video. Talk to you guys next time.
That concludes the main portion of today's assembly.
Hey guys, this video was sponsored by me, the author of the Shinry series, the Chronicles of Wayne, and Monsterverse. So I figured I'd do this outro a little bit different by showing you guys what you guys will be checking out. So, the Shinry series starts with Book 1, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home seeking vengeance, but instead faces the choice to save his home from shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. Shinry's Shobu Samurai starts at $9.99. And if you love anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Shaman King, Rave Master, Zatch Bell, anything like that, the Shinry series is definitely the series for you. You'll definitely want to check it out. The Sword of Light is probably the thickest one so far. And then these books are 2. This is Enter the Dread Zone Tournament. And the series original ending, Arado, the Legendary Conjuring Master. So, and I'll just show you guys some of the covers. Really proud of all of these, but I hope you guys check it out. If you don't like that, I also have the current published books for the Chronicles of Wayne: Love Be Damned, Cotton Candy, Full Moons, Fabled Lovers, A Cursed Virgin's Bite, If You Go Where Monsters Dance, Red Will Reign Over Your House, Love Be Damned. Now, the Chronicles of Wayne is about a geeky guy, or a nerdy guy in high school. His senior year, he has a crush on the hottest guy in school, because of course he does. He's only got one best friend, and her name is Barb. Well, the hottest guy in school turns out to be a werewolf. And to make the story more interesting, he bites Wayne and turns Wayne into the first ever wolfman in the last 10 years. And because of that, it was also a sacred law that wolfmen should never be created. I don't want to get into too much of the Chronicles of Wayne without spoiling it, but I can tell you it's very short. This one sells for $6.99, and Love Be Caged right after it. The ending of this trilogy, Love Be Liberated, comes out in October. So I'm going to definitely do a more full in-depth review of this one. But yeah, it's an LGBT fantasy fiction story about werewolves, vampires, white witches, a dark warlock, and, well, many, many more surprises to come. So if you guys like to read, I definitely recommend. These are all the books so far in the Shinry series, except for Shinry's Beginning. I do have that one, but it's just not here with me. But yeah, I appreciate a like, support, or just a review on Amazon. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day.